Okay, so we're going to move on because again, I'm super excited. All of us are super excited to hear from our amazing panelists here. And what we're going to do is, so we have Annette Kelly Whittle with Santa Ana Workforce Development Board, Cynthia Orozco with Irvine Valley College, Jody Williams with BPSOEs, Pablo Vargas, who already is famous on the Costco magazine here with Coastline College, Rachel Marchioni, also with Coastline, and then Angel Torres with Saddleback College. So why don't we start? We'll just go left to right. So Annette, let me stop sharing and oh, there we go. Okay, you're okay. So we'll start with you, Annette.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Annette Kelly Whittle, and I work with the Orange Workforce Alliance. So I work with the three workforce development boards in the Orange County region, and more closely on this project with the Santa Ana Workforce Development Board.
Awesome. Cynthia, there you go.
Hi there, everybody. Good morning. My name is Cynthia Orozco. I'm one of the career counselors at IVC, and I do both working individually with students in the Career Center. We facilitate workshops year-round to our different student demographics, and I'm also an instructor and teach several counseling classes. So happy to share what I learned.
Thank you. Jody.
Hi, my name is Jody Williams. I am the Adult Education Program Manager at BPSOS. We are a nonprofit community-based organization who serves the larger Vietnamese population in Orange County and LA County. I help students with ESL and citizenship preparation courses, and two is my health program manager. She helps our students, clients, and community members with health programs, referrals, resources, and just so that they can meet their basic needs and continue on in their college and career pathway.
Thank you, Jody. Angel?
Hi, everyone. My name is Angel Torres. I work at Saddleback as a general counselor and also in transitioning students from the HSC, which is the high school equivalency program, into the credit side for career technical programs and or transfer to the university.
Awesome. Thank you. Pablo?
Well, Paulo Marquez, Coastline College, Career Services, and CTE Counseling.
Okay. And Rachel?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Marchioni. I'm the Department Chair of Counseling at Coastline College.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and then we'll go back to you, and if you can start sharing.
Okay, so with the counseling project for us, we worked with the youth with the Workforce Development Board at Santa Ana. The youth were going through a work experience program, basically where they start off through the program going through some employment readiness workshops, and then we transition them into working with an employer in the Orange County region. And so these individuals, what we were able to do is take 5 of those individuals as a cohort and work with them through the exercises in developing their career mapping journey. As a part of our process, the individuals were able to be paid during that since they were part of our work experience program. So it might be a little bit different than some of the other programs, but we had 2 in-person sessions where on 2 different Mondays where they came in for a couple of hours and we started to go through the exercises. And I think that the youth, it took a little bit for them to kind of get comfortable, start to open up. We were also able to kind of share our own personal journeys, which I did this along with David at Santa Ana. And so there was the 2 of us together that did this. And we have varying stories, but it's always nice to have a couple of different perspectives when sharing with the students, hoping that they can relate to some of what we said. And they as well were able to kind of share a little bit about themselves in that first meeting. I think that some of them had already were working their way towards applying for college and had done some work around just their life story in general. So I think this just added another layer to that of helping them improve upon that. And as for some, it was the first time really delving into anything to where they really had to kind of share their story. And then you know, during their time, we had them go back and do homework. So before we even came into the first session, we sent them the prompts and we asked them to work on their narrative. So then after we went through the exercises and we sent them home with homework to rework their narrative, and came back on the second day, and we followed up with the talking about imposter syndrome, as well as the networking and developing that social capital. I think for me, my favorite was probably talking about social capital and the importance of that. And I think especially when working with populations that may have some types of barriers, or didn't necessarily come from backgrounds where there are key relationships that they can build upon. I think that social capital is a very important subject that really can help propel somebody. I mean, if you can really start to develop those networks and draw upon, whether those are your professors or, you know, people, it could be church, you know, trying to help them identify who could be a part of that network, right? Who can I work with on that? And so I think that was a very important piece, helping them to understand my own life story in that, you know, social capital played a huge role, I think, in my life, which, you know, my dad had a lot of, and it helped me, you know. And so from there, I've learned the importance of that myself. So I was able to share that with them. Um, and then it culminated into them submitting their final narratives and everything, so which we are still going through and compiling. And then during their homework time, we also were able to pay them for the time that they spent outside of the classroom as well. So I think that there's a little bit of incentive there too. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Annette. And I saw a comment where I think it was Angelica. She's like, "Pay to answer questions, sign me up." I love it. Hey, food and money are great incentives, okay?
They are.
No, thank you, Annette. And by the way, everyone, we are going to have some time after the panelists speak here, and I'll ask them some questions. But we will have some time for Q&A. But in the meantime, though, if you do have a question that comes up when any of our panelists speak, just put it in the chat. We have, you know, Amanda and Kalika and other folks that are monitoring the chat, and we can always come back to your questions. Okay. So thank you, Annette. Cynthia.
Yes. So what I did was I took this curriculum and I implemented it in my classroom, so in group settings. So I'll be talking about two different ways that I put it into practice. One on my own through my classes, and the other one in collaboration with Fritzy on a project that we're working on through the Career Center. So going through the trainings and going through the information really inspired me and motivated me. A lot of the content that we talk about reminds me of Yoso's community cultural wealth model, for those of you that are familiar with it, which teaches us that there's a lot of strength in places where we may not traditionally see them as strengths, right? Like having to translate for our parents, or having to help our family members navigate like offices that they don't know. So I took a lot of this understanding along with helping students reframe their perceptions of the skill set they had as first-generation students, as first-time students, as immigrant students, how to identify their strengths. So I put it into practice in 3 different classes. My college success strategies class, which is a dual enrollment course. There's sophomores all the way up to students finishing up their last year in community college, ready to transfer. I put it into place in my career exploration class. There's a lot of first-year students, a couple international students, students that were in their second year as well. And then the last place I put it into practice was in my introduction to college course, which is dual enrollment at a continuation high school. There was a mixture of juniors and seniors. So I did different things in each group. One project that I did was I had students create a life journey, of a physical map of significant memories or lessons that they that they've gone through up to this point. I also had them write poems about who they were and different important pieces growing up culturally in their home, family members, events, traditions that were significant to their journey. I also had another group of students create elevator speeches. This one was really cool because some of the students, this was their first semester in college, and they're like, what? I have to introduce myself to people. And I was like, yes, we're going to do this. And I was preparing them for a job fair that we were going to have on campus. And I challenged them to think of their strengths in a different way. For example, one of my students said, well, I don't have any achievements. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, did you graduate high school? I was like, he's like, yes, I did graduate high school. Okay, that's an achievement. I'm like, how did high school go? He's like, well, I barely passed. It was not a good thing. And I'm like, so what you're telling me then is that you kept pushing though, right? You kept pushing, you're persistent, you made it to college, you made it to class, you're asking me questions, right? So you're taking initiative. And these are all skills. These are all transferable skills that you can talk about to introduce yourself. You can say, hey, I'm Ryan. You know, I'm really self-motivated. When things are hard, I find solutions for myself. There you go. That's an achievement, right? So it was really interesting helping them come up with creative ways, culturally relevant ways, right? I didn't introduce them to that language, but helping them translate their experiences into valuable skills, giving them the language, laying it out, and having them practice with each other. One student actually had to go to a conference that weekend, and she practiced her speech within that psychology conference that she was out up in San Francisco. And she was so grateful that we got to do it. And she said, I was super nervous, but it just worked out so perfect that I at least had a way of explaining myself and talking about some of the things that I did. And the last kind of assignment that I did with my other class was I had them do career research. And this was also very interesting. It was in my continuation high school, where students are really in this class. They want to finish, right? They want to finish high school. They want to get these credits. And they had a lot of misconceptions of what is required for some career options they were interested in. One student in particular said, well, I want to be a pediatrician, but I had no idea I have to do this much school. I don't know if I can do it. Like, I'm barely making it through high school. So again, challenging that thought process, trying to identify different skills. I'm like, well, again, you're graduating. Why is it that you want to be a pediatrician? What is it that you like about it? And we started to talk about some of the things that excite her and get her motivated. And through that activity, some of the students said that they feel more motivated than ever, like to finish high school, to go to college, to give it a shot. Even one student, he works at a butcher shop with his family, and they have a family-run business. I know, he said he learned how to cut a pig's head. I was like, whoa, like that's a skill. And then he's like, I don't need college. And I mentioned, yeah, you might not need it, right? You're learning a specific skill, but how does your family manage finance for your company? Who does that for you all? And he mentioned his dad did it. And I said, well, here's where college can help you. Maybe you can take an Excel class that teaches you how to really manage those finances and really maximize the work that you do with your family. And that's just one semester, right? And helping him find the connection between his goals, his strengths, his interests, and how we can use college to his advantage. So in summary, I was super motivated. I did a lot of things. I feel that students were able to really put into practice these exercises because I was vulnerable. There was a lot of trust in the class. Whatever I asked them to do, I did it as well. And I think it helped that environment. So in talking to Fritzy, we're super excited to create a cohort model within the career centers, something similar to Career Launch, and walk the students through these exercises and service the larger IVC community. So that's it. Those are some things that we did.
Oh, that's just it, Cynthia. That's just it. No big deal. No, that's awesome. Cynthia and Annette, I told you, everyone, like, I've just been dying to hear from the group here. But so far, what both of you have done is amazing. And I want you, everyone, to pick up on how this program can be adapted to different scenarios, whether one-on-ones, groups, or and so forth. So thank you, Cynthia, and again, thank you, Annette. And we're going to move on to Jody.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so I guess I'll start with my dad joke just to calm my nerves. This will be more for me than you. No, I'm kidding. Why did the man get fired from his job at the orange juice company?
The orange juice company. I just had orange juice for breakfast. Okay, so. Oh
Because
God.
he couldn't concentrate. All right.
I was gonna say because he was sour or something.
Oh, that's a good one. A good one.
I'm terrible at jokes, so I like yours better.
Okay.
Thanks, Jody.
You're welcome. So my name is Jody Williams. I work with Tran. We co-manage programs at BPSOS, Boat People SOS. We have branches nationwide, but we are located in Orange County, California. We provide health programs, resources, services, referrals to clients and community members and students in Orange County and LA. We serve the older Vietnamese adult population. They have limited English level skills and they come here. A lot of them came here as refugees. So I'm going to start by giving some kind of catchphrases and then explain why they're important to the overall career and career pathway mapping journey that everyone has been speaking about. Because our population, well, first of all, our program, the adult education program we have here, we don't have counselors. So I have to work very closely with all of my counterparts here. I have to work very closely with all of the counselors at the other community colleges, districts, adult education schools. I also have to work with the Workforce Development Board. I have to work with, I've been starting to work with the Santa Ana Workforce Center, just so that we can help our students transition into those college and career pathways. We offer citizenship and ESL classes, but we're limited. We have maybe 5 teachers, and then I'm the adult education manager, and then we have a couple of program coordinators. So my main purpose here is to help my students and community members first learn the basic skills they need to transition to college and career pathways. They come from all backgrounds. They are Vietnamese, but the socioeconomic backgrounds are all across the spectrum. So my first kind of catchphrase is what our goal at BPSOS is to have our students go from a survival to revival to thrival. I made that last word up. Because it's like survive, revive, thrive, right? So let me explain what I mean by that. When our students, clients, and community members come to us, they're in survival mode. They come to us because we are like a lighthouse in the storm, right? They come, they know OC, they know that Westminster, Little Saigon is considered one of the largest populations of Vietnamese outside of Vietnam. So they know when they come here, they'll at least be able to get maneuver the United States in their language and in their culture. So they go from coming here from, Vietnam, all kinds of socioeconomic and, political, hardship. They come here, they survive here first, get their basic needs met. We provide those referrals and services too. And then they go into revival, right? So once they get their basic needs met, they can finally start to think, okay, what do I want? What are my goals? Most of our students' goals are citizenship, which I'll get to my next point with that, but just to be revived, like how do I revive my desire, my passion, how do I help them instill this in themselves? I mean, how do we as a community-based organization work on the ground with these students to promote this revival mentality where, okay, I'm here, I have my basic needs met, now I can finally start to think like, what can I do next? What is my college and career pathway if I have one? Can I get a better job through learning English and through my citizenship? So that sort of stuff. And then they can get into the thrive aspect of it, which is, okay, now I'm secure in my basic needs. I've thought about what my goals are. I'm on the way to, achieving those goals. How can I provide better for myself and my family, right? So we want to, as BPSOS, in collaboration with community colleges, workforce development boards, strong workforce center, like one-stop centers, how can we all work together to help these students thrive? And that's where this Empowering Scholars Program comes in too, because this is the thrive part. Of course, you have all of the steps that we will complete, right? Meeting the students where they are, helping them realize goals they didn't even know they had, going step by step. Imposter syndrome. I mean, I could talk for an hour about imposter syndrome, about our older Vietnamese adult population just being here in the United States. But the point is, with this Empowering Scholars Program through Oscar, and I want to thank everyone for all of your help so far, and Stephanie and Angelica and Amanda, everyone here for being such a great inspiration and influence. Because like I say, we don't have actual counselors here. We have to be all of that. So we're still learning how to do that. So there's the survive, revive, thrive mentality, right? Then, like I say, most of our students come here because they want to be US citizens. They're in the process. So I want to take them from the citizenship goal to ownership. So from citizenship to ownership. How can you, after you become a US citizen, if that's your goal, get into the mindset of ownership? I own my citizenship. I own my life. I own my goals. I have the authority and ability and, to ask for help and get the resources to become an owner in my own, journey, right? Because who's writing the story? Do you let other people write your story, or do you write your own story? And so we have to teach our older adult Vietnamese population, how do you, because they're very family oriented, so how do you take ownership of and pride in what you do and how you can provide for your family? And then the last thing I want to talk about is going from refugee to refuge, if that makes sense. So refugee, they come here from Vietnam. A lot of them came over as refugees, political, economic, refugees, fought to get here, right? And I want to help them think of themselves as a refuge, like a light in the dark, right? How can we help our students through the collaboration of counselors and schools and businesses for careers? How can we make them into a refuge, like a safety, a harbor? I'm not sure, however you want to define that, so that they feel empowered to continue on for future generations, right? And then I'm pretty sure everyone here has heard of the fight or flight response, right? So typically when we hear about fight or flight, we think, okay, when we're facing a challenging obstacle situation, we're afraid. So we either like fight back, we are aggressive. It could be like have a negative connotation, or we fly, we run away, we figure out how to do something else. But I want to help our students go from fight to flight. So I want to help our students go from fighting for survival, being here, fighting for their citizenship, learning English to, pass their interview, to flight, go be that shining star you want to be, go do that career, go to that college, you know what I mean? So we want to create pathways through the Empowering Scholars Program to provide that foundation for our students, to make sure that they go from survival to revival to thrival, because we've all been there. We all have our own stories to tell. We all have our own journey that we went through with these three things. These things could apply to anyone, but in particular our population, because it's so specific to older Vietnamese adults who are in Orange County. They could speak Vietnamese and just work in their current jobs and be fine, but we want to give them the opportunity to at least learn that there's more.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jody. Oh my gosh, yeah, just that whole, I loved the survival, revival, and I think what you said, thrival, or what did you make up? But survive, thrive, survive, revive, and thrive, because that is so true, right? And I mean, I relate to that from the standpoint of my parents being immigrants here to this country, and that feeling and so forth. So thank you, Jody. All right, next we're going to turn to the dynamic duo team here of Rachel and Paulo.
All right, good morning, everyone. Is it okay if we could share screen?
Yes, you should be.
Okay.
You should be able to.
Okay, yeah, similar to Oscar, we're also very visual, so if that's okay if we could share screen. We'll be quick, don't worry, we won't bore you to death. So our top, so then we'll be quick. So then we kind of took it to a different approach. We use ChatGPT to create these career narratives, and we'll also show you like how we actually did that. So moving on, Rachel will talk about why we chose this population.
Yeah, so we thought of these students because oftentimes these students underscore themselves in their experience. As they're transitioning to civilian life, it can feel like starting over again. They go from these high responsibility leadership positions to that experience no longer always being validated in an educational system. And these students bring a wealth of experience to our classrooms and the job market, and we really wanted to empower these students with what they bring to the table. Coastline's very unique in the fact that we are mostly online. We have 4 campuses, but 90% of our classes are online. But our Veteran Center is always filled with students. So we felt like it was a great opportunity to connect with those students more. And as far as recruiting those students, there was an upcoming Veterans Career Summit that we had an opportunity, Paulo was able to pitch and recruit. And then we were able to pair with our director of the Veterans Center to offer a gas card to these students as well to get some buy-in.
Okay, yeah, so what we did was similar to what Oscar provided, the intake that was provided. We took that and we kind of made it our own. That was more tailored towards the military, like military branch and occupation. So this is stuff. So stuff up here is like what they could already answer on their own. Stuff down here is what we leverage ChatGPT. And we actually I'll share examples later of prompts we use, but literally they would just copy this over on ChatGPT and it'll give the answers for them and they'll just tailor it. So especially with the career narrative, it's super helpful because a lot of times, like, you know, drafting that out, it's hard, but I'm like, hey, let's just leverage AI and see what it comes up with. And we'll show you later how we kind of took this to another level. So here's an example of, like, you know, translating military skills to civilians careers. Here's an example prompt that actually put it in already, where all they got to do is plug everything in. So what are skills gained? If you're this occupation in the military, in the branch, and you're trying to become, let's say, a physician assistant, what are some, you know, technical skills gained? Boom. Instead of having to think about it, the answer is going to give it there for you. So here's the recruitment flyer that we used. Also, this they also have a lot of money. That's also the reason why we chose this population. The coordinator, we also have a good relationship with them as well. Gave all the participants like $50 gas cards. Who's not going to want to go there? So that's also another reason why we chose that population. Here's our flyer for that. And then Rachel also included also the community cultural wealth there as well. Explain that, and here's like a prompt that we just used. Again, we just leveraged, made their life a lot easier. And all they gotta do is, I'll show you a sample. So it all makes sense, but they drafted their own career narrative. So for example, like if this is something that they come up with and they want to create their career narrative, I would copy this over. So here's ChatGPT. And the prompt we had was write me a 2-paragraph career narrative with the following intake. So I have everyone following so far. So far, all they gotta do is copy what they had so far, copy this over, write me a 2-paragraph intake, press enter, and we'll see what this comes up with. So this is live. So hopefully ChatGPT doesn't crash, because as you know, a lot of people are on it. But so they say, let's say you want to become a project manager. Here's their why. Here's a college major, top 3 values, what branch they were in. They were aircraft mechanic. The skills they gained from military, was this, write me a 2-paragraph thing, boom. So there, tell a student, give you 5 minutes to kind of look it over, move things around, don't make it sound robotic, because sometimes ChatGPT is very fluffy. So, I mean, you could also put that in a prompt, right? Don't make it fluffy, boom. And then there, and then they kind of have that as like a starting point. So again, make life a lot easier. So in addition to that, in terms of the deliverables, we use Canva, and this is some of the stuff that we created with. So we actually, again, just copied their stuff, made it pretty, put it on Canva, put some logos on it. Here's some of the students, and here's what they came up with, and pretty cool. So here's some of these things. Yeah, so this Marco is actually a first-gen student, so we actually included that part in there. So we're not gonna go through this too much in details. I could send you all this PDF. But here's some of the student feedback that we also got from students. They loved it. And as they were doing this, we just gave them a Google Doc. So instead of having to like when we were doing presentation, I gave them a Google Doc and be like, hey, just fill all this out. That way everything's live. When we ask for student feedback, you just scroll down, hey, put your student feedback. So we're just able to get everything so easy that way as well. So they liked it, being able to leverage ChatGPT, being able to intake their skills. So one thing, for example, was like, let me see which one. This one right here. Yeah, we underestimate ourselves and our experience. I've been out of the service for 3 years, and the small things you forget. I have more to offer than what I thought. So yeah, so similar themes, so I think Oscar, thank you for sharing your knowledge of the career narrative and being able to draw out skills. I think that's students are getting that from this. So thank you for allowing us to do this. Because at first me and Rachel were like, oh my God, another stuff we have to do, but benefited at the end. And here's one of our students. We'll take a picture with it. And then now, so again, it created more work for us because now our veterans coordinator wants us to do that for many of our veterans.
And this is outside our veteran center. So we asked these students if we could share their profiles because we are so proud of them and the work they put into this and the experience they bring. So hanging right outside our veteran center is an introduction to some of our students. And then as Paulo shared, now we have other students that are interested in getting buy-in so we can work with other populations on campus and help empower them as well.
Yeah, and when I was talking with my dean, what do you call it? I found it helpful. I definitely add this component to just use it. I'm telling you, just make your life life easier for your students. You make stuff a lot faster. And then give other colleagues something similar. Another counselor from I think Long Beach saw my story, and she's like, "Oh, how do I do that?" So I told her. She's like, "Oh, I want to do that for my DSPS students." I'm like, "Oh crap!" Like, I'm gonna tell Oscar that. So then, spreading the work here, and then also I told my dean, and again, more work that was created for us, which is fine. One thing that she talked about was like, thinking about how to embed this for Umoja, Rising Tide, which is our formerly incarcerated, and also our DSPS population as well. So let's stop share. But hopefully that. Anything else, Rachel, that you want to bring up? Say.
I think we just got a question about rapport. Are you referring to rapport with our students or rapport with the director? Here's Rebecca that asked.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I'm from Compton College. I just like the way that you did with at the beginning, ask the students to report their information about what is it they would like to do with their jobs and so on. It was really good. Could you be able to share that one more time at the beginning?
The beginning slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Paula, can you share that? And then additionally, when we started off this workshop, we asked students, we went around, we met in a group. So Paula and I were together with the group of our 5 students, and we asked everyone to share their why, right? What is your motivating factor? Why are you here? We actually had a student that was, their wife was like due any minute, and that was his why. He's about to be a father. And we kind of all connected on that. And then we jumped into the activity.
Thanks.
This is Rachel and Pablo, this is incredible what you were able to do with the program and leverage technology, right? And I mean, that's what technology is there for. I mean, I took a typewriter to college my first semester. I'm not on a typewriter anymore. everyone, okay? So, but it's about adapting to the technology, and it's certainly the way the two of you use AI certainly facilitates, right? With the career narrative. The one slide that really stands out, the picture where you have the gentleman, the veteran, standing next to everyone. If you his smile to me just comes across where he's not only proud, but there's confidence or newfound confidence. And that is something that oftentimes we don't realize when we go through this training, the confidence that students gain. And so thank you very much, Pablo and Rachel, for this. And I'll come back with some questions here. And again, you know, anyone, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, like I said, put it in the chat, or you'll be able to unmute yourself in a little bit. So appreciate it. All right. Angel, you're up, my friend. You're up.
Okay, I'm not sure if I can do any better than Rachel and Paulo, but I think that was exceptional. But I will present what I have. Okay, so let me see if I could share my screen. I'm a visual learner, so I feel that being visual is probably the way to go. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay.
Down the bottom, the share. Yes.
Okay, so I have a brief presentation here of what I'm doing. So I focused on the student narratives, primarily because I'm really interested in the student experience and what they're doing as students. I believe Rachel alluded to this matter of the why. So that brings us to that point. Why student narratives? Why do we want to focus on the student experience? So that is something that I really wanted to focus on. Why do students want to do this or that? Because that serves as the foundation as to what leads to a career, a pursuit, an overcoming. So that leads us to this matter of promoting your career story. So it starts with the why. We have a why, and along that path, that trajectory, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be lessons, there's going to be skills, there's going to be traits, and all those things lead to assets. The personality traits are these things, these skills that the student have, right? But we also want to connect that to a journey. So if you follow this visual here, the journey then leads to identifying a position, something that the student would like to pursue, but that's not enough. We have to connect that to a specific, align it with a degree, in this case that we offer at Saddleback College, so that could lead to transfer, graduation, or the reaching of that goal that began with a why. So this is one particular case with a student. Her name is Yolanda. She was a student, or is a student that is an adult student, is older adult. So her why was self-gratification. She spent the better half of a year raising her kids, and now she wanted to do it for herself. That's the primary reason why she wants to pursue medical assisting. And one of her traits is she's intellectually curious, she loves learning, and she's resilient. And I put there neuroplasticity for a reason, because as the student is telling me about her experience of learning, she just falls in love with learning, and she feels like her mind is being opened up. She's able to think and consider things and analyze in a way that she wasn't doing before getting into college. So this opens her mind to say, hey, even though I'm a grandma already, I can still pursue medical assistant. I can still do it. I love the learning experience. I love what I'm doing. And this shows up in neuroplasticity. Her brain, her intellectual capacity is just taking it to another level. Okay, and then we have Tanya. So Tanya is a culinary arts major. So she sees food as unifying power. What do we do in places in social gatherings? Food brings us together. It brings people together. So that's what she saw as a growing this, child, she saw that her mother would cook for family and just the family would gather together. It's very interesting that she saw that food itself was bringing people together. And this what made her wanted to pursue culinary arts. So what's her trait? She mentions this, I'm bicultural, I like mixing different cultures, cuisines, and trying new things. Also, I'm very intuitive in seasoning food. So you see that experience, that cultural experience of the family made her wanted to pursue culinary arts. Now, this is a developing story. So as I continue to meet with these students, I'll have more to say. So what does this mean? This is continuing. So if we look at the bigger picture, it starts with a why. So the why leads to preparation. Preparation leads to graduation or degree attainment that was aligned with that specific why. That leads to higher economic status, a better family dynamic, better situation, and that turns into future generations. So a better you becomes a better society for students. And that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to focus on with this. So what does this lead us? It leads us to why matters. And looking at the why of students, it matters what they're doing. It matters why they're doing it, because this sets off the stage for what follows in their career narrative. So I hope that this, I don't have a full picture because it's still a developing thing, but and even in my presenting, I would say that it is not enough. So then what does that lead us as counselors? So we have this counselor implications, right? And what I saw with the students. Well, number one, why matters. It's a very important piece to start as to why students are doing what they want to do. Also, challenges become defining moments. So when students come to us, they may have a challenge that become a defining moment. And we become the catalyst for them to either pursue a career, a specific major, or a job. Those challenges are for us, they're a golden opportunity to be that one person, that one counselor that makes a difference in their decision. But that leads us also to three. What I found out with the students that were younger, that were coming back, it was the indecision. A lot of time it was the indecision to choose a career that kind of pushed them away from even pursuing college to begin with. So that becomes a real challenge, but also a very good opportunity for us to let them know, hey, it's okay that you're not clear, but we can get clear together. We can work on the process. We can take courses that will help you identify a major. We can explore, perhaps focus on general ed. Notice that what I'm saying, I'm just going through a counselor lens. Lo and behold, I am a counselor. So this is what I'm doing. And then number 4, bread over books. Why do I say that? Because a lot of the older students opted to work to feed their family prior to becoming, going back to being a student. The story of Yolanda is a grandma. Her focus was to raise her family, take care of the kids. And now that she has the time, now she can put books over bread because now she has that opportunity. And lastly, the family dynamic. The family dynamic is a very important piece for us counselors. It's not just said and done, come in, this is the major, this is the path, and see you later. We have to understand that there is a family dynamic that is influencing the student's career, decisions, even the challenges. So we have to take that into consideration so that when we're meeting with the student one-on-one, we're able to help the student, validate the student, use this cultural capital, the wealth model, the assets, highlight these things that perhaps no one has, or in this case, we are tailoring that career narrative for that specific situation that they have at home. Okay, and I can go on and on about this, but I would like to close it in with a thank you.
Angel, thank you here because you also brought up some a different group of students, the gap, the older adult. And again, these are all the examples that all of you have brought are obviously groups of students, demographics, cohorts of students that we engage with, but also showing the flexibility and the adaptability of the Empowering Scholars program, right, with the career narrative